Right, at this stage Tracy is now experimenting with the length of the petticoat compared to the last layer of lace that she's going to put on, which will be the decorative lace at the front. What Tracy has decided to do is make it 2 inches shorter, so that the lace just touches that 2-inch level there, and we've taken off quite a lot to the floor because Tracy wants to have the lace actually hanging over the petticoat, and this will be roughly the very last layer where she's going to have the curve at the front. So then what she has decided to do is then for the rest of the lace it's going to drop down, and then it will run 2 inches up from the bottom of the hem. This is just a rough piece of lace that she's put on for now, just to get an idea of what she wants. Let's take it around the other side. This is where it curves up, and all the other layers of lace then will be the same curve going up the front of the dress. Then it will drop down to 2 inches above the hem to show the rest of the lace lower than the petticoat.
Okay, so we've raced ahead now, and while the hoop was on me, Mum has actually put all these layers on for me now and measured them out equally, and it was a lot better to do it that way than trying to do it on the table. So this should now be a good guide as to where all my levels are going to go, and you can see that they are curved, not straight. Also, when you start getting to the top here, you notice it's starting to pull a little bit tight, and some of the pleats are actually just not showing compared to at the bottom here where there's a lot more fullness. So what we've done on the top one to demonstrate is some double pleats, so then we get a bit more fullness there, a bit more frills than it pulling tight, because the curve is now so severe it wants to pull the fabric out too much. So that's how we're going to get around that with the top two, possibly the third one, but definitely the top two. We'll have a few more pleats in. So what we're going to do now is, it's not only does this give me a good idea how much I'll need for each section, but I'm going to put some marks on each layer going up, so that I can now take these practice pieces off, just keep marking it each one so that we've got the levels as to where each one is going to sit when I come to do it with the proper lace. Okay, right, we've now turned the petticoat up to the correct length. We've just overlocked the bottom, haven't bothered doing a proper turn up or a proper hem where you turn it up and then you sew it. I've just overlocked the edge. It's a lot quicker, so it's now been turned up and level and ready to go. Okay, so I've now removed all my practice lace pieces, and you can see here I've marked them with some pins, so we'll roughly know where to put them back. I've done that all the way from the top to the bottom. Okay, so I've got my lace here for pleating. It is 6.5 inches wide. It's ivory coloured, and I've got just over 26 metres of this to pleat. And you can see here I've made a start, and I'll just show you now how we're doing it with this handy little tool. Okay, so this is called a pleat turner. My dad made it several years ago for another project with pleats, and it's basically just a piece of wood with two metal prongs glued inside it. And what you do is, put a weight here because that helps a bit, and a little bit of slack on the lace. So what you do is you thread it in, and you decide which way you want your pleats to go. Now you can see all my pleats are going that direction, so we just place that in and then flip that over, and then after holding each side down you want to force that pleat back so it just meets up with the line of this pleat. You can just about see it through the net, so you're pushing that up towards that pleat there, keeping it taut. And put your finger down, slide that out and put a pin in. And it's important to double pin it because they come out easily otherwise. So I'll just do that again. Slide that there, turn it over. You want to make sure obviously you're keeping it all straight as well across the top and it's all level. So pull that tight. Then pull it and shove it just against the edge of the last one. Slide it out, holding your finger there, and then place a couple of pins. Keeping them all neat and in line as you go along. Now I've only got another 25 odd metres to do, so I will see you at the very end of this video. Okay, so I've now pleated 26 metres, 0.17 centimetres of lace into approximately just over 7 metres, so I've got it all here. Sorry about the light in this room. Right. I'm now at the sewing machine, and so I've got all these pins in the lace at the moment. I've now got to sew it down, so we're using this special device called a walking foot, which is a lot better than the ordinary foot that you have for your machine. So this actually walks over the pins as you go, and it doesn't catch the pleats as much either. I've put it this way because the pleats are coming in this direction. And I'm now going to start sewing them down, but I'm going to do 2 rows of sewing. I'm going to do one and leave about a centimetre on the edge here, so coming fairly far down. And afterwards I'll do another one near the top, just to really make sure that those pleats are going to stay in. So I'm just starting off here, and you can see as you go that the foot actually walks rather than just stays in place. So that's it for now. So I'm going to sew the entire length that I've got, which is all over the place. And by the time I've finished, it'll be ready to go to the next stage. Okay, so here I have just over 26 metres of lace that has been pleated, and I've sewn it to at the top and bottom like I showed you earlier, and now I'm going to start placing it on where I have my marks all ready to go. So I've got the marks going round and I've got the marks going down where the outer skirt will come over the lace. Okay, so we're going to start placing the lace onto the petticoat, and if you remember earlier me saying that because the curve is getting quite severe towards the top, it then opens out the rest of the fabric, so you start to lose some pleats. So what I mentioned we'd have to do is do some double pleats. So we're just going to take a bit from roughly the area you see there, just fold it over and repin. So just 3 places, so here, centre and the same place on the other side. Just do a couple of extra pleats. To death. Okay, so we've now pinned on the lace, and now what we're going to do is cut it about here, because when I've got my purple overskirt on it won't start splitting until here anyway, so you won't see a lot of this anyway. So just go to cut up. Be careful not to cut your petticoat or your waistband. I meant to say as well, if your lace has a good or bad side, obviously make sure that the better side is facing up before you pin it on. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to carry on doing that, and the next lace will start further in and overlap and so on, where we've got these curves and the marks we did earlier. So I don't really need to video doing the rest of them, it's more or less the same way, but I will just show the overlap measurements so you know how much we're overlapping it by, and we will just continue right down to the bottom. Okay, so we now started the second row. We've done exactly the same. We've done some double pleats because we've still got a pretty tight curve there, and I've just pinned it up against the original marks, and you can see what's going to happen now. That's going to overlap that, and I was aiming for at least a 2-inch overlap from where this lace finishes to where the lace underneath starts. Should be about 2 inches roughly. That seems to be looking pretty good, so just go ahead and cut that as we did before, and as I say, that's the way we're going to more or less carry on down, and keeping that 2-inch overlap. Okay, so we've just tried it on, and Mum has given these frills a little bit of a jiggle about to try and make sure that they all line up and the spacing's more or less the same. And I was going to have 8 layers, but it turns out that the 7 layers look better. So there's going to be 7 layers. And at this moment they're just all pinned on, so now I can actually go and put this under the machine and actually sew these pleats onto the main petticoat itself. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then we'll work on the bottom layer. Okay, so we're just pinning on the very last layer of lace now, and we've measured that. We more or less want it. We've got the edge of the petticoat there. We want the lace to be about 4 centimetres below the edge of the petticoat. So that's where I started that. Then obviously we're at the front here, and as you know, the frills are going up in that curve. So when we get to here, we have to make a mark using the mock-up of the purple skirt that's going to go over it to see exactly what point it hits that you're going to start seeing too much of the petticoat here. So I had an idea that maybe to continue it round and have it drop down here and then level out so that there'll be that 4 centimetres overlap there all the way round that there is at the front. So I've done that same on the other side as well, and I'll just continue all the way around to the back. Okay, so it's time, and I've sewn on all my lace and I've done around the bottom, and it's just time to give it a quick show at this point. And I said earlier I had 26 metres and 17 centimetres of lace, and I think I just about used the 26 metres because I had just a little bit left over, so approximately 26 metres of lace.